Before I get into this video, there's something I need from you, the viewer. This video is sponsored by Forza Corp. Forza Corp is an organization that helps street kids stop slinging dope and get into power skilling. In this video, we're featuring just one of the saved kids, Mookie, who helps us by speaking about his passion about Demon Slayer. Now, without further ado, Jonathan Joestar versus Muzan Kibutsuji, something I don't know his last name. This is a topic that makes the most sense to me. On one end, you have Jonathan, the first Joestar in Slayer of Vampires. On the other hand, you have Muzan, who essentially is the JOJO equivalent of the Pillarman, or just a card's dick rider. Both universes share the same concept of pros and cons, with good and evil sides. Demon Slayers use breathing styles as their fundamentals and rely on sunlight engraved blades as the way to kill demons, while demons possess extraordinary abilities in regeneration, kinda like the vampires in JOJO. I see no reason why this wouldn't be a fun topic to explore and dive into on what would happen in this hypothetical fight. This video will be a collab with my good friend Mookie, who will discuss the Demon Slayer side of the video since I have a lack of knowledge about the anime because it's kinda ass. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and check out Mookie's channel. To freshen up the side of the channel, I'm just gonna let Mookie start off while I try and get my pet cricket off acid.
Yo, what's good guys? Your boy Mookie back here today. I just want to say thank you Forca for having me on here. Thank you for letting me do the Muzan section, and hopefully you can do more collabs again in the future, bro. So I guess let's get into Muzan Kibutsuji. So Muzan Kibutsuji, the king and progenitor of all demons within Demon Slayer, and the main antagonist of the entire series. Muzan's main goal being to achieve eternity by surpassing the sun and to become immortal. To do this, he plans to consume the blue spider lily or Nezuko Kamado, the younger sister of Tanjiro Kamado, the main character. Although he's not much of a physical fighter as the other demons are, he's still one of the strongest characters in the series and the strongest demon in Demon Slayer, unironically. So, to get into this, first let's talk about his speed, then the power he has, and then the abilities he has in the series. In terms of speed, it gets kind of tricky for Demon Slayer scaling, however I have a consistent speed meta I'll set out. In the Swordsman Village arc, the love posture Mitsuri Kanroji is capable of reacting to sound waves from the Upper Moon 5 Hontengu. Then after this, she's able to not only react to, but cut several bolts of multiple lightning strikes at her effortlessly. This is while she's fatigued and damaged, by the way, but then after this she proceeds to get her Demon Slayer mark. The Demon Slayer mark basically increases the power, speed, and makes it harder for Demon Slayers to die. The reason this is mainly important is that Mitsuri, after training alongside numerous Hashira level characters and Hashira swordsmen, she's having trouble just perceiving Muzan's basic movements. This same Muzan blatantly outspeeds this much faster and stronger Mitsuri, keep in mind while she's getting assistance from these other Hashira and other characters. While they're basically jumping Muzan 8v1. These same Hashira are actually shown to be doing much better speed-wise than she is, even while Mitsuri herself has the mark and some of them are just in their base forms. The reason this is impressive for Muzan is because he's fighting numerous characters who can deflect and blatantly outspeed lightning level attacks. This same Muzan who does this is also completely nerfed from the numerous amount of drugs in his system, one of which makes him age to the point where he's over 9,000 years old and slows down and gets his body fatigued because of how old his body is, taking large amounts of strength just to negate the drug and making it hard for him just to move his body in fights. There's also one preventing cell division and destruction, making it hard for him to move as well. So while he's physically nerfed, he's physically capable of reacting to these light levels of speed while nerfed, and if he was in his black hair prime state, he would be several times faster than this since he's getting faster and stronger. Now for AP, Muzan doesn't really have anything except destroying portions of a town, but his main ability makes up for this. When he fights opponents he deems strong enough, Muzan mixes his blood with his attacks with the intent to kill. Instead of turning them into demons, his blood causes his opponent's cells to start destroying themselves, making them die a quick and painful death, causing cell destruction. It's pretty straightforward, but if he touches you or hits you with a strike that has his blood in it, your cells immediately start to destroy until you just pass away or your body just disintegrates. As for Muzan's other abilities, his regeneration should just be the peak of Demon Slayer. His regeneration is so strong that he can heal as he's getting cut or damaged even in his weaker forms. His regeneration is so strong that it's stated that the only attacks that can hurt or kill him are attacks imbued with sunlight or the sun are the only one that actually kill Muzan, and most physical attacks are rendered ineffective according to Muzan because of this ability. Another small ability is that he can change and morph his form while fighting, as characters state his body doesn't have a fixed form, making it harder for them to hit him. He can also use whip-like attacks for high-speed movement on his thighs, back, and arms for combat, and to hit and catch the opponents off guard. Muzan also has another ability that can cause a shockwave that gives characters seizures, and we even see that Tanjiro gets severely damaged from this, giving him a seizure for a whole chapter. The only way that we see that negates this is when Tanjiro hits himself with his Nichiren sword, stabbing him where the point of his lungs are. So it seems that the only way to negate the seizures are with the power of the sun as well. Finally, for Muzan's most broken ability, he can absorb people through physical contact as a way of consuming them. We see him do this with Tanjiro, and even Upper Moon 2 Doma is capable of doing this to characters and Hashira level characters, where they just absorb them through physical contact, similar to what the Pillar Men do in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They just touch them and they just absorb them and just digest them whole. This pretty much sums up everything on Muzan, and honestly a pretty good matchup.
Jonathan Joestar is the main protagonist of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures manga. He is the first JoJo in the bloodline, which becomes the main target of an obsessive bisexual vampire. Since restraining orders weren't developed in the manga during part 1, Jonathan had to learn the ancient martial arts and hamon bending from Big Bro Zeppeli to fend off Dio. Now, what exactly is hamon? Hamon is a hidden power system that everyone has access to through self-controlled respiration. So if you happen to have asthma in the JoJo's universe, it's pretty much game over for you becoming a hamon user. Instead, you'll likely end up as a henchman for the Joker. At its core, hamon is a martial art that harnesses the energy derived from the user's breathing and harmonizes it with energy of the sun. The energy that you're able to produce by simply huffing and puffing unlocks various abilities and boosts your physical stats. While under hamon training, you can go from Bruce Banner to the Hulk, and this can be deducted based on the fact that Jonathan went from an average college football player to being able to destroy cliffs. Before discussing strength, let's dive into the abilities obtained by breathing this ancient nitrous oxide. Hamon unlocks a variety of abilities. By becoming a hamon user and controlling your breathing, you are not limited by any type of surface and can walk on walls as long as climbed. Much like Jesus, you can walk and run on water as if it was a solid surface. With hamon, Jonathan Joestar can regenerate his arm to its fully healed state simply by breathing. Later on, he also successfully heals his own broken neck. Depending on your level of hamon mastery, you can unlock more abilities. For an instance, by infusing hamon into a glass of wine, Jonathan precisely locate Jack the Ripper and melt him through a wall. Hamon has the power to bypass the exterior of a body and destroy its insides, granting their ability negation. This aspect is consistently portrayed in the manga, as demonstrated by the frog, the soldier whom Caesar Zeppeli killed, and the hijackers that were defeated by Joseph. Jonathan can extend his arm several feet with his zoom punch, which involves separating the joints to create a ranged punch. He frequently uses this technique to close the distance between himself and his enemies. Additionally, he possesses the sword Pluck, a gift from Bruford for purifying his soul. Pluck is an ancient sword from the Bridges era bestowed upon Jonathan. Since Jonathan is a prodigy of hamon, it's more than likely that he unlocked the precog ability that is granted to you after you become a hamon master, since Zeppeli unlocked it and gave all of his hamon, including Expeditor Jonathan. To further support the fact that there's a skill gap between Jonathan and the other users, he's stated to have something 1 out of 10,000 hamon users has, and he's able to beat Zeppeli's old students with ease. Despite having precog, he was unable to dodge Dio's Stinger Eye lasers because he was destined to die so that Dio could acquire his body. Furthermore, it is implied that Jonathan's hamon control improved with Zeppeli's sacrifice as he transferred all his hamon to Jonathan. Now that we have fully analyzed hamon, let's discuss Jonathan's strength. Jonathan Joestar progressively becomes stronger with hamon. He is capable of defeating Bruford with a barrage of punches after a long fight. Although Bruford may not be the strongest among Dio's minions, he is definitely a superior fighter and faster. Bruford is able to blitz Jonathan on numerous occasions shown through the fight. After Zeppeli grants all of his strength to Jonathan, he is able to easily handle and fight Tarkus after being completely overpowered. Jonathan even manages to break a thick iron rod collar that Tarkus himself couldn't break. Tarkus is known for his brute strength and for lifting boulders with his finger. The sheer pressure of the wind generated by sword swings is strong enough to destroy the cliffs that they stand on, which is estimated to be at least the size of a small town based on calculations. Realistically, Jonathan Joestar should be significantly more powerful than Dio. During their fight, he was able to completely slice Dio, bisecting his body and severing his limbs. Furthermore, Jonathan's punches are capable of causing severe damage and eviscerating Dio. Dio in part 1 is said to be physically stronger than part 3, and the narrative heavily suggests that. There is the fact that Dio has been decaying under the ocean for over a decade, and his abilities aren't as potent as they were in part 1. He also doesn't have access to the Stinger Eyes or Eyes powers, which he frequently used during part 1, indicating his relative weakness. Dio's weaker body is able to overpower Jotaro's Star Platinum in part 3, which is strong enough to crush teeth as hard as diamonds and destroy buildings. Although Dio claims that his body is stronger than ever before, this statement itself gets contradicted later in the fight when Dio gets crippled by Jotaro's first punch and ultimately killed in the second one. Dio is simply under the influence as it lowers inhibitions and encourages imagination, leading him to believe he was stronger. We also know that Jose's body was infused with Hamon, which affects the body at a cellular level, possibly explaining why his physical body couldn't withstand the same force exerted throughout the fight. Jotaro's Star Platinum along with Dio should logically be faster than light, or even massively faster than light. This conclusion is based on the chain scaling to Silver Chariot, who has demonstrated the ability to cover vast distances with incredible speed. It is explicitly stated that Jotaro is faster than light, and Dio's ability to dodge light itself further supports the notion that these characters operate within this range of speed. Silver Chariot's speed varies from faster than light to massively faster than light. Calc, based on his fight with Hangman, puts his speed to around 365 times faster than light. Hamon is a cellular amplification that awakens through breathing. Additionally, Hamon possesses the ability to purify zombie-like vampires such as Bruford. Therefore, it would not be logical to assume that Jonathan's Hamon would counteract the cellular destruction caused by poison attacks from Muzan. This assumption is based on the fact that Hamon also exhibits healing properties that would likely neutralize the effects of Muzan's attacks. And basically wraps up everything I got. I don't want to go too in depth on how strong Jonathan Joestar is, since I have another Jonathan in-depth video planned for later. However, you can check out the one I made about 2 years ago, which is also my first video ever, if you want some context on Jonathan Joestar's strength. With that in mind, the conclusion is that Jonathan Joestar wins. He is simply massively faster than Muzan, much stronger than Muzan, and has a counter to Muzan's cellular destruction ability. On top of that, Muzan's weakness is sunlight, which is exactly what Hamon is. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, join the Discord server in the description below, and peace.